Hey everyone. Hey Jennifer,
Hi,
how are you?
everybody. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. Okay, let me get chat up. Um, yes. Oh, so I was gonna say sorry for running a little bit late. We were having some technical issues. I think it's a little glitchy still, but it's improving, so it's probably gonna be fine. You know how StreamYard can need some time to warm up. That does tend to happen. But yeah, so today we're going to be talking about Anna Kepner, and I've been looking forward to talking to you about this because we discussed it a little bit on one of the shows, one of the weekend shows, I think it was with all three of us. But
Mhm.
there've been some new developments that you let me know about recently, so I wanted to go through a document with you guys. I do want to put up that this is a major trigger warning, probably the entire episode, unfortunately, but it's important to go through. There we go. Sorry. Sorry, there's a bit of a delay on that. Yeah, so yeah, you sent me a, I think it was a Nancy Grace video about the new DNA in this case.
Yeah.
And yeah, that's, I mean, it's interesting. They have sort of, well, they haven't really disclosed who it is, but they know who it is. This second,
Yeah. Yeah. I think because
yeah,
it's a minor, we're not going to know who it is. But
yeah,
yeah, they have
yeah,
identified. Yeah. And the
yeah,
DNA itself, I thought was really interesting how they were able to determine um, between that person and her step brother who actually, which one of them actually did assault her. So, and
yeah,
they could figure that out through the DNA itself, which was really interesting.
yeah. So we're gonna get into the document. I have to be honest, there's some of it that confuses me a little bit, but we're not gonna read the whole thing. We're gonna go from page 22 to 35 because I skimmed it, and that's I think the right amount and the right information that we need for today's discussion. Let me say hello to everyone quickly. Hi, CJ. And Caddy says hi. And Stone. I hope everyone's good. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm going to get the name of this document quickly. And then I'm going to attempt to screen share it because I shouldn't be I shouldn't be telling anyone, but when I was getting ready for the show, I think I undid something, messed something up, but then I think I fixed it. So it'll 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 hopefully look okay. Okay. So
We'll be all right.
let me explain. We will. We'll manage. So what this is, the document that has just come out that everybody's like going on about when it comes to the Anna Kepner case is this transcript from a hearing that happened a while ago, but it was about whether Timothy Hudson should be detained or not. And I mean, we're still waiting for him to be detained, but uh, this was just
Hmm.
recently released, and this is where the new information came from that we're hearing about. And it's all over other channels. Like the main thing being that there is the second uh, contributor to the DNA, and also some very unfortunate things about just Anna in general, like to do with damage to eardrums, just horrifying stuff. So while the document is not new, it's new to us. So that's why we decided to be going through that today. And then there's also some stuff that you sent, which we're going to go with afterwards. So we've got a lot of reading today. Everybody, put your glasses on.
We're putting everyone to work today. Everyone's involved.
Yes. Yes, we are. Okay. And it threw you out. All right. So, I'm gonna read from, like I said, I'm gonna read from page 22, and we're just gonna stop along the way. And if anybody has questions, or if if you see anything in chat that you also want to address, you're welcome to highlight it. And I'll just keep coming back to this is a major trigger warning. I have redacted the document as best I can, but unfortunately, the nature of what we're talking about is devastating. So yeah, let's get started. Okay, so like I said, from page 22, and also bear in mind, guys, that this is a transcript. So this is somebody kind of writing down exactly what was said. So it's kind of weird. Like it's a conversation. It's not like a document that we're used to reading. So we have to get used to that as well, but we will. Okay, so I'm going from here, and the reason I'm going from this line 22 on page 22 is because it's going to give really good background to everything that happened. And as I said, stop me along the way if you have any questions, queries, or and I can't see chat because I've got the document up. So Jennifer, if you see anything in chat that's you want to address, you can just stop me and you can highlight it if you want as well,
Okay.
just by clicking on it. So yes, everybody's put to work, like you said. You keep an eye on chat. All right. Okay, so starting from here, on or about 2nd November, just so that the court is clear, and this will carry through this presentation, T, who is a 16-year-old, and the victim, who is an 18-year-old female, were United States citizens residing in Titusville, and at all items relevant to my presentation and the testimony, the victim's father, Christopher, was married to T's mother, Chantal. So I'm already going to stop there. Like the family dynamics are a little bit confusing, but basically, I think what we need to know is that the suspect and the victim are step brother and sister. Their parents are married. Therefore, T and the victim were step siblings. On or about November 2nd, the victim and her family, to include T, departed the port of Miami in Miami, Florida, for a 1 week cruise around the Caribbean. At some point, they made a stop in Cozumel. I'm so sorry if I'm saying that wrong, Mexico. Now, during this voyage, the victim shared a cabin with her 13-year-old half brother, the minor witness, and T, and that cabin was 8343. Now, I've made it pretty clear what I think about that situation. I'm sure a lot of people agree. I just I
Yeah,
don't
that was an
I
odd
don't
choice.
very odd choice. Very, I mean, and what's worse is when you read this, you'll see that the um I'll speak in terms of Anna, the father and stepmother, and two younger uh, step sisters and half sisters were across the way in another cabin. So all they really needed to do was have Anna and her dad swap places. Boys
Hmm.
in one, girls in another. End of
Yeah.
story. That's actually all they needed to do. Like they could have had Christopher Kepner with Timothy Hudson and um, the younger minor witness in one room, and they could have had the stepmother Anna and the two younger girls in another room. That's that's all they had to do. I just don't.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean she's an 18-year-old
Yeah.
girl. It's yeah. Okay. The victim's father, T's mother, and two minor female sisters and stepsisters shared a separate cabin across the hall, numbered 8341. Now, on or about November 7, and I think they mean 2025, not 2027, after the members of the ship Horizon, which is the Carnival cruise ship, went into cabin 8343 to clean it, and, and they found the victim wrapped in a blanket and stuffed underneath her bed, which was the bed closest to the wall of the cabin. Trigger warning again. According to the attendants who found her, it appeared that someone had tried to hide her, again by partially putting her underneath the bed and putting a box of life vests to cover the view of the body from the rest of the room. It also had appeared that the bed had not been slept in. So that's also pretty interesting because from what I've gathered about reading this, um, it seems to me that the defense is trying to go heavy on you don't actually know when this happened. And I think it's pretty significant that the bed wasn't made. It helps. I mean, wasn't slept in, sorry, that the bed was made. All right. The Carnival Cruise Line officials called the FBI, who met the ship Horizon at the port of Miami upon its return, November 8, 2025. From the dates of November 6, 2025 through November 7th, when the victim's body was found, the ship was in the high seas. It had left the port of Cozumel on its way back to Miami. After the FBI boarded the ship on November 8th, they conducted numerous interviews of the family members as well as looked at different things that the cruise ship had, including closed circuit television, and it was revealed that after the family had returned to the ship on November 6th, visiting Cozumel, the family met for dinner on the Horizon. During the dinner, the victim stated that she did not feel well, complaining of pain in her mouth due to her braces, and had an upset stomach. So she returned to her room, cabin 8343, which in brackets she shared with a whole lot of brothers, by herself. And that was captured by the CCTV. So that's pretty early to go to bed.
I thought so.
Yeah. Well, I guess she wasn't feeling well, but what's really interesting about this is, and I didn't know this, um, and we're gonna get to it now, is that the stepbrother Timothy was already in the room. He entered the room 3 minutes before her, so she excused herself from dinner. I don't know if she took a longer way to get there, or if he didn't go to dinner, or if he had already like I don't know the circumstances, but I was quite surprised
Yeah, I
that
didn't
he
know
was.
that. That is
Yeah,
surprising.
yeah. Yeah, and they have all of their movements on CCTV, so that's going to
Yeah, I
be
wonder why they
really
kept that for so long.
yeah, yeah. Because in I guess when I kind of tried to think about how this case would have worked, I imagined that he followed her there, followed her back to the room, but that doesn't seem to be
Yeah.
what happened. But yeah, let's continue. Where was I? Okay. As previously stated, the FBI then looked at the CCTV and it revealed the movements of the victim. I think that's meant to have a comma, T, as well as the 13-year-old brother, the minor witness. Now, he had been spoken to by the FBI, as well as stated that he did go into the room for a short period of time during the evening after dinner, and that was corroborated by the CCTV. He did say, though, that after he decided to come back to the room to go to sleep, when he opened the cabin door to 8343, T put his arm out to block the door to the room, the entrance, from opening and did not allow the minor witness to enter and yelled, "Wait, don't come in," saying that he was changing. Yeah.
Hmm.
So, yeah. Um, I knew that there was issues where he hadn't been like allowed into the room, but I didn't know that it was that blatant either.
Yeah.
So
I
that
mean,
was
he was pretty obvious. Yeah. Something
yeah,
was going on in there.
yeah. The minor witness noticed that both the bathroom and closet doors were open and all the lights of the cabin were turned on, which he thought was odd or, excuse me, weird. It's a transcript. T then instructed the minor witness to wait outside the cabin. CCTV captures this, where the minor witness then sits outside in the hallway, right outside the door, sitting down for a few minutes before T opens the door and allows him to enter. The minor witness acknowledged that the last time he had seen the victim inside of the cabin was earlier in the evening when he had gone in for a minute to retrieve something with his friends. The CCTV provided the following information about the movements of T, the victim, and the minor witness. Okay, so now we're going to get into like a very detailed kind of timeline that they have, and I'm really impressed by how much information they've actually managed to get just from the CCTV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, like they have, and I mean I tend to do this. I tend to jump ahead, but they have um they have his movements, Timothy Hudson's movements the next day, and it coincides with with Timothy trying to dispose of Anna's phone. So they can watch him all around the boat, and they can track that the phone goes with him until it's discarded. So it's very impressive the way that they did put that
Yeah.
together. Yeah. Okay. Okay. At approximately 7:38 p.m., the victim is seen entering cabin 8343, and this is the last time the victim is seen alive by the CCTV footage. At approximately 7:51 p.m., the minor witness is seen walking down the hall towards 8343 with two friends. He enters the room and quickly exits. At some point in that evening, at about 7:35 p.m., T is seen entering the cabin. So he gets in there at 7:35. Anna got in there at 7:38. I found that interesting. So T enters the cabin 3 minutes before the victim enters the cabin, and he is not seen exiting the cabin again by CCTV until 10:13 p.m. Upon opening the cabin door at 10:13 p.m., T is seen looking left and right down the hallway, appearing to check if there is anyone in the hallway, and then he walks outside of the cabin, 8343. This is the only time in which T does that action when exiting the cabin door. Between 10:23 and 10:49, T is observed entering and exiting the cabin approximately two more times. Then, at 10:53 p.m., T exits the cabin and is observed placing the privacy sign on the cabin door and re-enters the cabin at 11:07 p.m. Then, from 11:21 p.m. to 11:23 p.m., the minor witness is observed entering and exiting cabin 8343. This is where he tells FBI that he does not see his sister. He sees her at the initial entering that occurred at 7:51 p.m. So the the CCTV footage last sees her alive at 7:38 p.m., but her half brother last sees her alive at 7:51 p.m. So that's, I guess you could say, the last sighting. After the minor witness leaves at 11:23 p.m., at approximately 11:31 p.m., he exits the cabin and re-enters at 11:44. Then, at 12:09 a.m. in the morning, now on November 7th, the minor witness is seen entering the room, is quickly observed not being let in, and then waits outside in the hallway for a couple of minutes until he re-enters the cabin. The CCTV shows that T exited the cabin a couple of times on the morning between the times of 9 a.m. and 11:30 p.m. Excuse me, a.m. Outside the same cabin. During one of those specifically, and I'll get back to the time in between, but 11:24 a.m., the Horizon stateroom attendant goes into the cabin, and then she is seen quickly coming out and getting her supervisor, who also comes into the cabin, and that is when they discover the victim's body. So, I mean, we had heard that. We had heard that it was, it was staff who found her, even though it's a little confusing the way her father says that he found her, but it was staff.
Yeah, he enters and leaves the room quite a lot more than I would have
He
thought he
does.
would. Makes you
He
wonder
does.
what's he doing in there.
Yeah, yeah. And another thing is that they have not found her watch. They haven't found it. So that
Her
he was,
watch.
yeah, it's like I think it's one of those watches that track you, or one of those
Oh,
very
oh,
advanced
okay,
ones.
yeah.
Yeah.
There would have been a lot of
So,
information we needed on that.
yeah. Yeah. Yeah, but he's really busy. He's moving around a lot. Uh, okay. Wait, where was I? Sorry. Uh,
We
okay,
just
so
finished the
at
stuff.
yes, at approximately 11:27 p.m., T is seen walking by the hallway towards 8343. And as he walks by the cabin, he makes no effort to look and see what is happening inside. Even though so many people are still inside the cabin with the door open, he looks straight ahead and walks away. Can you imagine walking past your own room with something going on in there and you're just like, well, I think I'll just keep walking that way? Like, no,
Yeah, that
no.
must have been a sinking feeling he had as he walked past his room. Like, oh,
Yeah, yeah,
someone found something.
yeah. Yeah, basically the CCTV, and then the court says, "Let me stop you. You said 11:27 p.m. I assume you meant." And then Mr. Lopez says, "A.M. I apologize. Yes, on November 7th." CCTV footage essentially reveals that the victim never left cabin 8343 after she entered it at approximately 7:38 p.m. on or about November 6, 2025. Now, the body worn camera footage from the Horizon security offices corroborates the cabin attendant's description of how the body was found, meaning it was wrapped in a blanket or bed sheet, stuffed underneath the bed, with that box of life vests or life preservers placed on top of it to conceal its position. So, I mean, I guess we say he was very busy. He was doing things. He was in and out, but he was making this effort to cover up what was going on.
Yeah, obviously.
Yeah. Now, during the course of the FBI's investigation on board the Horizon, after they viewed the CCTV, they tried to locate the victim's cell phone because the family had mentioned that she was never without it. They could not locate it inside of the room. The cruise ship people had also indicated that they didn't take the phone or see one in any way. The FBI then eventually looked around and decided to look in Horizon's lost and found office, and the victim's cell phone was found there. The circumstances surrounding it being there was that a Horizon crew member found it in a trash bin located on the rear or aft of the ship, on the starboard side, meaning the right side of the vessel, which I am going to call the trash bin from now on. It appeared that it had been seriously damaged, as if it had been smashed and the screen was broken. And that's concerning because, now that we know about this second contributor to the DNA, I can't remember if it was you who said it or CJ who said it on the last show, but the fact that there was somebody else is kind of all the more of a motive, right? Because if he was
Hmm.
infatuated with her, he must have been furious. And I can imagine something taking place where that phone would get smashed.
Yeah, it also makes you wonder what's on the phone as far as
Mhm.
conversations between the two, because I'm sure he said something to her about it.
Yeah, and apparently they did manage to get the data, and there was nothing. There was nothing significant. But I
That
mean, I
surprises
guess
me.
yeah, I guess there are ways to conceal it. I think there's a lot more to come out. The things are getting unsealed slowly, but it's
Yeah.
happening. Yeah. The FBI then looked back at the Horizon CCTV footage from the morning of November 7th to see how that phone could have gotten out of the room if we know the victim never left the room after 7:38. They found that T leaves the cabin at approximately 9:26 a.m. and he returns to the room at 9:48 a.m. Then he reveals that at then it reveals that at 9:50 he leaves the cabin. He is observed holding something in his left hand, and it looks like he's reaching into his sweatshirt front pocket. After he leaves, he is then observed walking to the midship lobby because cabin 8343 was towards the front of the ship, and he takes the stairs to deck 10, then walking to the aft or the rear of the ship through the Lido Marketplace restaurant. The CCTV footage shows that at 9:52 a.m., T is observed reaching into an area near the trash bin where the victim's cell phone is found. Now, the trash bin is not depicted directly by CCTV footage, but it shows that T stayed in the area by the trash bin for approximately 22 seconds. I think that's more than enough time to just throw a phone away.
Yeah.
He is then observed returning by the same route which he got there at approximately 9:53 until he enters cabin 8343 at 9:55. The FBI contacted the cruise line information technology officer who has been able to trace the movements of the victim's cell phone that morning, and the following information was given to them and was provided that showed basically throughout the cruise ship, as people are using the internet, in order for them to use the internet, the ship has routers throughout the ship, and people's phones, once they enter into the cruise ship's Wi-Fi system, will connect to these routers. The information, meaning the client association history, the MAC address, and the patch connections to the Horizon's wireless networks for any particular phone or computer, is kept in their care, custody, and control, as are records in the regular course of business. So, I mean, I have to say, I've watched watched quite a lot of these Nancy Grace episodes where she gets these lawyers on who are just constantly talking about how they've sued this. I don't even know if it's a specific company, but they're saying they don't keep the records, they never have it. But it sounds like they did. It sounds like everything was very well documented, and I suppose that's also because the FBI got there straight away as soon as
Mm-hmm.
as soon as they were able. Okay.
Interesting.
Yeah. The tracing of this information provides the following. At approximately 9:26, when T is seen exiting cabin 8343 on the CCTV, as I mentioned, the victim is not seen. Then at 9:27, when the CCTV shows him on deck 10 in the Lido Marketplace, the victim's client association history data with the cruise ship reveals that T and the victim's phone, meaning the victim's phone, is taking the same route towards the aft of the ship as the victim's phone. Huh? Is hitting all of the while. Okay, it's a transcript. The phone and the person were together. All
Yeah.
right. Yes. At approximately 9:29 a.m., the victim's phone connected to routers near deck 10 at the Lido Marketplace of the Horizon. The client association history showed that the victim's phone is taking the same path of travel as T is in this area as he is walking through the Lido Marketplace on the CCTV. At approximately 9:32 a.m., T is seen smoking in the area of deck 11. Then at 9:34, the victim's phone connected to routers near the smoking area on deck 11 on the starboard side of the Horizon, at the same place where T is seen smoking a cigarette. So I mean we get where they're going with this, but we're
Mm-hmm.
going to we're going to follow through. At approximately 9:39 a.m., the victim's phone connected to routers near deck 12, the jogging deck. So you can jog on there. Like
That's
how
crazy what you could do.
yeah. Yeah, it kind of makes me think like I don't know. I don't want to like insult people who go on cruises, but it seems like just being at home, like you do all the same things.
Yeah. I've never wanted to go on a cruise just because I get claustrophobic.
Yeah. Yeah, I've just never seen like the point, but I'm going to get in trouble for saying that. There's probably someone who's going to who's going to get upset. But yeah, it's good to know that you can jog there. Okay, and that which is on the port side of the horizon. So if you ever need to jog, go to the port side. At the same time, T is captured by CCTV cameras walking on deck 12 at the jogging track port side. Then it shows that T is walking on the jogging track until approximately 9:46 a.m. At approximately 9:48 a.m., T is observed entering cabin 8343, and then the victim's phone at 9:50 is connected to the router at the cabin. So it's with him. He's going walk around and it's with him. At the same time, at approximately 9:50 a.m., T is then captured exiting the cabin and walking to the midship lobby. This is when he is then observed taking the stairs to deck 10 and then walking to the aft of the horizon again through the Lido marketplace. While he is doing so at 9:52 a.m., T is observed reaching the area of the trash bin. While the trash bin again is not directly covered by the CCTV footage, it shows that T stays in that general area for approximately 22 seconds. And then at 9:53 a.m., he is seen observed by the CCTV returning by the same route. And look, I mean, this might not seem significant, but I mean, it shows the level. Like, I don't know what somebody would say to defend him. That's up to his defense. But this, what comes after is, I mean, it's essentially planning and working on covering this up, right? I mean, he has a lot of time to think about what's happened and how he's going to
Yeah,
proceed.
he's very aware of what he's done and right from wrong.
Yeah, and I mean, we're hearing, well, I don't even know if it's true, but I mean, there were reports that he said he didn't remember. So, yeah, he's doing a lot of walking though.
Yeah, yeah. I have a hard time believing that he has amnesia
Yeah, yeah.
conveniently.
Can everybody see the words on the screen? Can
They're
I
pretty
zoom?
tiny.
Oh, sorry, sorry. I'm sorry. Mm, how's that?
Oh, that's better.
I apologize. I can't even like. Yeah, I just didn't notice that. Sorry. Okay.
We got through it.
Yeah, we did. All right. A search warrant was obtained by the FBI for T's phone, and the victim's phone was also searched. The phones did not reveal any information about the victim's murder, nor did it reveal the information about the relationship between the victim and T, which is weird because they had been siblings. I mean, to me, they're not siblings, but they had been related by marriage for like what, a year, going on a year.
Something like that. I don't remember the exact time.
Yeah, I would imagine that it would show something, like something between them, but yeah. All right. The medical examiner, Dr. Jonathan Kanakaraj, I'm sorry if that's
Good
wrong,
job.
for the Miami-Dade Medical Examiner's Office also arrived on the horizon in order to conduct his investigation. I don't know if that's, maybe that's just how it's done. I would have imagined that the investigation would have like, I don't know if that's how you process a crime scene that's on a boat, but I did hear some of what Joseph Scott Morgan said on Nancy Grace, and he seemed to find it a little weird that some of the investigation and the kits were done on the boat. And I also can imagine that that should have been done with the autopsy. But it does seem like the medical examiner came aboard to start the
Hmm.
investigation. So, I mean, I
Yeah,
guess there's
I've never
different
heard of that
levels.
before.
Yeah,
Being
yeah. I
done
guess
there
there's,
at the scene.
yeah. It's weird to me, but I'm guessing that there's just different procedures.
Maybe
Uh,
because they're on the ocean, they're not able to move the body where it needs to be as easily.
maybe.
and in a timely manner. So maybe that's why they just kind of went in and got what they
Yeah.
needed.
Yeah. Yeah, probably. All right. At that point, the victim's body was moved from its location after it was documented, and then he began to undress the victim and to prepare to take her to the medical examiner's office. And I think that this is interesting, where he says that he began to undress the victim because the quotes that we've seen from the father was that he found his daughter's cold, naked body, and he's talking about the trauma that he went through from that, and it's already like, well, there's a detail already wrong there. So, yeah.
Yeah, I
All
wonder why
right.
he said that.
I know. I know. After they undressed the victim to conduct their preliminary examination, Dr. Kanakaraj observed that the victim's, okay, this is a trigger warning, underwear was worn in an unusual manner. And I'm going to skip over it um, to, but basically, it was um, displaying, mm, it was indicative of the violence, and also that it wasn't removed during the attack. So I don't want to read too much of that. Um, but I've read it so that you guys don't have to, and it's not an easy read. All right. Based on his observations of everything I just mentioned, there was an indication from this preliminary exam of a possible SA, but he would need to confirm with further examination. Therefore, on or about November 9th, he conducted the autopsy of the victim. During the autopsy, Dr. Kanakaraj first observed petechiae, that is, tiny pinpoint red spots under the skin caused by bleeding from small capillaries, and he noticed this petechiae in the victim's eyes and face. Significant areas of bruising were found on the sides and rear of the victim's neck area, specifically more on the left side. There was also significant bruising of the victim's left ear. Um, and this relates to the R kit that was done, and as we know that there was DNA found. Now, Dr. Kanakaraj at that point noted that the petechiae and bruising were indicative of possible mechanical asphyxiation, and that means strangulation. He continued and did the kit as well as nail clippings, which is all standard. On or about November 10th, Dr. Kanakaraj contacted law enforcement stating that he had ruled the victim's death was due to mechanical asphyxiation, most likely from a chokehold. This is really upsetting, with enough force that such bruising and blood were in the ear, and that the manner of the victim's death was homicide. The final tox report for the victim found there were therapeutic amounts of burbate, no, sorry, butalbital, a medication, um, basically that is for attention headaches. And it was present in her system, but it was not of any contributory to death. Um, the uh, specimens were sent to the FBI laboratory in Quantico for testing. And on November 24th, 2025, they informed law enforcement that all the reports had been provided to the defense. So the court is aware that the results of the kit were positive for DNA. Swab number 4 was positive for the male DNA that we've been discussing, and also her own, Anna's own. And then this is what has been discussed quite a lot as well, is that this second DNA swab was taken, and that they've discovered another contributor, also mixed with Anna's DNA. So, um, let me say, okay, so these swabs were also obtained from a minor who lives out of state, with whom the victim did have sexual intercourse with while on the cruise ship, who I will refer to as minor witness number 2. And what I want to like stress, and I cannot stress this enough, is that um it seems to me from reading this is that this person was ruled out before they even arrested Timothy. So I just want to make that clear because I've seen these headings where it's like, multiple people, and I understand why it looks like that, but it really does seem to me that that was prior, consensual, and I think ruled out, and also this person is a minor.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to we have to be respectful for just just for that. Okay. The FBI compared the DNA standards from T and minor witness 2 to the male DNA. The results were as follows. Swab 4, the one that tested positive for sperm, the minor witness was excluded as a contributor. And as I mentioned before, the victim's DNA, the female DNA profile, did belong to the victim and was present in that mixture. The result as to the main DNA that was obtained from the sperm, this is a long paragraph, but I'm going to skip to where it says, therefore, the results from this item have very strong report for the inclusion of T as the contributor of the male DNA in that mixture. So that's, I don't know about everyone else, but that's all I need to hear. I mean, they're supposed to be brother
Mm-hmm.
and sister. That's, yeah. And then as for swab 5, and now this is the swab that came back negative for sperm, but still positive for male DNA. That is the one that uh, ties back to that minor witness. So that's it. That's what people have been getting very, very overexcited about. It says the result was that it is 1.2 septillion times more likely that the victim and T were the contributors of the mixture than if the victim and an unknown, unrelated person were the contributors of the mixture. So, again, pointing to T, to Timothy. Therefore, the results from this item had very strong support for the inclusion of T as the contributor of the male DNA mixture. And I mean, we put that on top of the fact that they both were in the room and she didn't come out again. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, let's
What
take a
I
comment
find most
for
disturbing is how young he is, and he's already in that mindset that he's getting rid of possible evidence. He knows he's done something this terrible,
yeah,
and he's working it out in his head what to do. And to me,
yeah,
that is the most disturbing part of this. As
yeah.
someone so young.
And I have to say that I didn't know about that until this document. I thought that there was, like, I mean, I thought a number of things. Maybe it got out of hand and he didn't mean, like he didn't mean for it to
Yeah.
end in that way. Um, I don't know about that. I mean, why was he there before her? I find that a bit weird. But then also this movement, like all the way up to the next day and walking around with the phone, taking the phone back to the room, taking the phone out to the trash bin. It's like, it's so much more calculated than I thought. And
Mm-hmm.
it kind of makes me understand why they did change to trying him as an adult because like you say, he's so young, but he's figuring out what to do. He's working it out.
Yeah. I think you're right. That's what made them try him as an adult, was where his mindset was and what he was able to figure out on his own how to handle the situation.
That is a really good question as well, CJ. Wonder if Tim. Yeah, oh, I would not be surprised. I mean, look, I'm not. I haven't researched him, but I mean, it's a really interesting question, and I think we should look into that. We could like add it to the Elliot Rogers theories, and maybe. I mean, there's definitely a lot going on within the family dynamics, and I know that I say that a lot, and I'll continue to say it because it's and we're gonna go through the custody hearing. It's just that it's a 1.5 hour video, so I don't know if we're gonna have time for it today, but we're gonna go through some of the stuff that's come up there. If not, maybe I'll just play a short clip from it to show you guys what I mean. There's a lot of stuff going on among these families that are all connected through this marriage. And I mean, he's definitely, I would say, a troubled man, troubled young man.
Mhm. I am curious, anyone in the chat, what you guys think if the prosecution might go for a lie in wait type of charge, where he went in
I
there before her and he was waiting for her.
mm, I mean, I haven't seen it. I Interestingly enough, and just disgustingly enough, I can see the defense in this document is trying to gear it towards, well, there was another boy there. And that is a minor witness who I'm sure is quite traumatized by the fact that he was in that room.
Yeah.
And to even suggest that, I think is, I mean, I don't think I could be a defense attorney to you know, but I haven't really seen a whole lot for what the state is going to do, and I think that that would be really interesting. Like, he was there 3 minutes before her, so
Yeah, we know that's the time
hmm,
this occurred. So to me, that would
yeah,
be something I would go with myself.
yeah,
I would push for
yeah,
that. Because it seems
yeah,
that
and
way on the if that's true on the video. I mean, you have it there to see him actually going in before her. And then you see his behavior, opening the door and checking both ways reminds me of something you see in a movie of people who are guilty and they always open the door and look both ways, real obviously that they've done something. That's what that reminds me of. So
yeah,
I
yeah.
think
It's almost like
it'd be interesting to see if they go for that.
yeah, and it is. It's almost dramatized, the way like looking
Hmm.
both ways, and it's good to note that he only did that one time. So I think what they call it is a baseline deviation. So if he's the kind of person who does that every single time he walks through a door, then that's just how he walks through doors. But you know, obviously it isn't. And I'm also really interested in this incel theory thing that CJ is bringing up. So if you're interested in our coverage on Elliot Rogers, just type EvilleCJ incel theory into YouTube, and you will get a part one, a part two, and then I think there's a combined one. But I'll also get the link shortly. Yeah, and that's a very interesting question. Both the lying in wait and the incel theory.
Yeah, they could combine together even for
I
one
think so. I think
explosive
that
event. Yeah.
they fit together. Yeah, it's tragic. Okay. Subsequent to these results, Dr. Kanakaranj opined that the evidence found on the body, as well as evidence from the DNA, were consistent with SA, occurring that the SA had happened antemortem. So let me nerd out for a moment. You guys get premortem, antemortem, postmortem. Antemortem is like at that moment. So at the same time, basically. So I can only imagine how scary. All right. Okay, so now he says that he's going to call his witness. And this is where I'm going to stop with the document. and we're going to get into some other, well, just a general discussion on the case, and then we'll see where we go from there because we have a lot to cover. There's definitely going to be a part two of this. But yeah, the document is interesting. It's nowhere near as explosive as I thought it was going to be with all of the clickbait headings that I was seeing relating to, you know, uh,
Yeah.
second perp. Yeah. I mean, I feel terrible for, I mean, I don't necessarily know what happened between Anna and this other boy, this minor witness number two, but it does seem that uh, they've ruled him out. It seems like it was a consensual encounter, and I mean, I don't know what more to say on it. You put it really well last time when you said that Anna is young, she's beautiful, and it probably, if it's true that Timothy Hudson was obsessed with her, it probably just set him off.
Yeah. Well, I could definitely see that. If he's
Yeah,
in any way infatuated or obsessed with her and he's not getting what he wants from her, he's going to get pretty angry.
yeah,
Yeah. I just think that it's just so sad that, all of this could possibly have been prevented if the parents had made a better decision about rooming those kids together.
yeah. I
And
mean,
it's
look,
still, I can't understand why a mother would do that.
I
That's
don't
an
understand.
18-year-old girl, at least if not her own room, put all the women together in one room.
Exactly. And I mean, I get like, okay, it's not your biological daughter. It's still like you're still a mother. I fully believe that a stepmother would take responsibility in the same way because and that's the thing, like if you know anything about Anna and her life, she was raised by a stepmother. She was raised by Tabitha, her father's second wife, for 13 years, and that I think is who she really did regard as her mother. And it's so upsetting to think that, like like you say, how could a mother allow that? It's
Hmm.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
All right,
I just don't know about the parents. I am very interested to hear about the court goings
we
and
we're gonna
comings
try and
with
get to that.
the families. It's got to
Yeah,
be
since
interesting. And hopefully, it will help explain some of why this happened or how
yeah,
it was allowed to happen and not detected before. That maybe there were some behavior issues that could have, you know, made
yeah,
someone say, "Hey, maybe we need to get this looked into. This is kind of concerning."
yeah, and hopefully we will get to at least some of that video today. I do have it ready in case, but you guys will see what I mean when we get to it. It's just like strange things. But I wanted to quickly go through some of the screenshots that you sent, and for some reason my computer is not sending all of, I mean, not saving all. Hold on. Oh, and it's not wanting to open it in the browser, which is great. This is so great. Okay. I'm going to try it as a document screen share because
While you're working on that, I do want to bring up the fact that there are no federal holding facilities for minors in Florida. And that
oh,
is
really?
the reason why he was not put in a juvenile facility right away and kept there. That's
Hmm.
why he's partly why he's out. And the judge, I believe, in order to house him in a juvenile facility at the time when he was first arrested, um, they would have had to have sent him out of state somewhere and kept him further from his family. And the judge didn't feel that that would be beneficial for him to be in a juvenile facility that far away from his family, considering his age. And I have a
Okay, I
lot
mean,
to
I
say about
understand. I understand that initially, but I feel like
Mhm.
once he was like they had changed that. I know they were working with the juvenile JDA is the act that they're calling it, but once they transferred to trying him as an adult, I just don't understand why adult treatment didn't come along with that because
Yeah,
why?
with yeah, adult holding facility somewhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if you look at the what he's like what we just read, like what he's being accused of, it's serious. It's not it's I just don't get it. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't understand that he took, now allegedly, he took the life of his stepsister, and a judge is more concerned about his feelings and well-being, being housed away from his family. And I think that's so disrespectful to the victim.
Yeah. Yeah, and I understand innocent until proven guilty and stuff, but the accusation, I mean, they've started the proceedings. They say that they have the evidence to try him on this. Why would they risk him being free? I mean, there were other children in the house, and that was what the custody battle was about. There were other children in the house before he was arrested, as far as well, maybe not in the house, but like within the family unit. I don't know where
Mm-hmm.
exactly, but yeah. Mm. All right, so this is some of what you researched for today, and I'm going to let you explain it a little bit. I have some of the screenshots, and I have to apologize that my computer is being uncooperative with letting me open it properly in a browser. But hopefully, you guys can see this, and I will scroll up. I will try to scroll up. There we go. Okay, so is this the first screenshot? Please tell me it is.
I'm not sure. I know I sent you quite a few, but it's fine. They all just kind of tie in with each other, so we could really start anywhere with them.
Okay.
But yeah, I was really curious just to kind of figure out what what type of person would do something like this at such a young age. And I had a lot of questions, some theories I had in my mind, but there's a narcissistic entitlement and frail ego that kind of really explains almost eerily a personality that I think Timothy was struggling with and some issues. But it does state that the perpetrator possesses an inflated but highly unstable sense of self worth. Rejection drops a devastating blow to their ego, creating intense psychological destabilization, which you can kind of plug into this situation where the stepsister was rejecting him. I think her previous boyfriend had caught a situation and reported it to the father. That was ignored by the parents. So he wasn't getting his way with her. And on the cruise ship, being in close proximity and seeing her flirt with this guy, maybe they were texting. Um, I think it just enraged him so much that she chose him instead of the second teen instead of him, and it finally came to a head, and he was so incredibly angry and just wanted to take what he felt was his.
Yeah. Yeah, and I can only imagine the level of anger, but it's interesting that you say the close proximity because I have also kind of wondered like what was the straw that broke the camel's back with that because it feels like it was something that was building. And I
Mm-hmm.
think that all of those points like the minor witness number 2 as they call him and the proximity and these kinds of personality traits it's like it's a recipe for complete disaster, I
Yeah.
guess.
And
And
she was going to be going away to college soon, so she was even going to be leaving the home. And he may have seen this, in my opinion, he may have seen this vacation as a last attempt to maybe get
yeah,
something from her, and it just wasn't
yeah,
happening.
yeah. And for anyone who doesn't know, Anna wanted to join the military with the end goal of becoming a canine handler, I think. And I mean, that's just, beautiful in itself. It kind of speaks
Mm-hmm.
to her. She wanted to join the Navy, I think. Uh,
Yeah,
you've heard that too. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. And she was at the beginning of her life. So I can see him, or somebody with these traits that you're mentioning, like seeing
mm-hmm.
that she's on the verge of growing, expanding, disappearing, abandoning in his perception.
Yeah.
So that is interesting. I'm going to read this one. It says, um, oh, it says that it says when a woman exercises her autonomy by saying no, the perpetrator experiences it as a deeply humiliating insult because they cannot regulate the sudden drop in self-esteem. Their psychological defense mechanism triggers extreme primitive rage to overcompensate for feeling powerless. Oof. Yeah, and that's dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
They say that the most dangerous time in a relationship that's abusive is when one party wants to leave. But I suppose that translates quite well into when one party says no, like, I don't want this relationship. Okay, perceived ownership. The offender operates under the mindset of male proprietorness. I've seen that in business studies, right? It's like ownership. um, Believing they are naturally entitled to a woman's attention, body, or compliance. Rejection is viewed not as a personal preference, but as the theft of something that they are owed. And I mean, I know that this screenshot is speaking particularly in terms of men, but it still brings me back to Mackenzie in a lot of ways. And I
Oh,
think it goes both ways. Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, you can see a lot of her in some of these descriptions.
Yeah, yeah, she's coming through to me. I'm seeing her. It's yeah, and also like there was another case that I mentioned, and I think you said you hadn't heard of it, but it reminded me a lot of Mackenzie, and it also reminds me of this was the Courtney Clenny case. So I'll send you an outline on that as well because
Yeah,
this is really
interesting.
interesting. Yeah, and also when it comes to Anna Kepner's case, there's another one that it reminds me of, which is the Paige Bell case. She was not killed by a family member or a stepbrother, but a coworker on a cruise ship. She was a beautiful South African girl, and the offense is very similar from what I've heard. I think so.
Hmm.
Yeah, interesting,
I
interesting
hadn't heard of that
research.
one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
All
crazy
right.
how these.
Mm.
Sorry, go ahead. I didn't
No,
mean
no,
to
no. You
interrupt.
go ahead. No, no, no. I wasn't even really speaking. I was saying, Sorry, go ahead.
Hmm,
Yes.
we're good.
Okay. All right. All right. All right. All right. Okay. Psychological impacts. Familial betrayal trauma. Children rely on caregivers for protection. When a father ignores allegations, the child's secure attachment is shattered. This form of betrayal teaches the child that her voice does not matter, the people she depends on are unsafe, and her suffering is unimportant. That is so devastating because I don't know if anyone has read some of what Anna posted to her social media, and I don't know if it's still available to read, but she had a lot of feelings of betrayal when it came to her mom, her biological mom, Heather. I don't know what the truth is because I gather that Heather kind of feels that that was more Anna's father's influence on her opinion. I think. I I mean, I didn't prepare it, but I that's kind of what I remember thinking reading that. So
Mhm.
to take that even further and to think about the ex-boyfriend having warned the father, so it's like it's twice, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
And
Severe
she's going to be
self-blame.
going away to college soon. So,
Yeah.
and that could possibly having those feelings of not being important and you don't matter and you don't have control over what happens to your own body. Like you go into a college situation like that and you can get yourself into a lot of trouble. Very
Yeah.
scary situations, especially at
Yeah.
parties, because you just don't have that self-esteem, and you tend to put yourself in positions where people will give you attention, not necessarily good attention.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean it all comes down to those early impressionable years, doesn't it?
Hmm.
All right. Severe self-blame and shame. Children are highly prone to internalizing abuse, believing they did something to cause it. A parent's failure to intervene reinforces the illusion that the child is somehow to blame or deserving of mistreatment, which they never are. That's just not how it is. It's not the thing. All right. Externalized blame. The offender's internal logic entirely shifts the culpability into the victim. Hmm. They convince themselves of a warped cause and effect narrative. She caused this to happen to herself by rejecting me. So do you think that that's a factor here? Like with Timothy, if he is guilty. Oh, you're muted. Hold on. There
Sorry,
you
guys, I was muted.
go.
First time I've done that. I'm sure it's going to happen again.
Everybody
But
does
no,
it.
I do think that. You'll have to remind me of the question because I panicked when I realized I was muted.
No, I so the this thing of she caused this to happen to herself by rejecting me.
Oh yeah.
And that kind of reminds me right here where CJ is saying incel as well. That is pretty much like their mantra, isn't it? And it's just with
Hmm.
that outward hatred because they can't handle
Yeah.
being rejected. And I'm pretty sure that I mean, like, if it doesn't make sense to him why he was rejected, like this is somebody who is being raised to for him to view as a sister. Mm, it's gross.
I can't imagine. But it goes along. It reminds me of that saying, "Look at what you made me do."
Mm, to you, just like modify
Right.
it a
Yeah.
little.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Overlapping personality traits. The Doc Tetrad. I think I heard this somewhere. Um, maybe it was in school, and I should actually remember it. Okay. Psychological evaluations of these offenders frequently reveal heavy clustering of specific personality disorders and traits. Antisocial personality traits and psychopathy, a profound deficit in empathy, lack of remorse, and please tell me my computer saved the next one. No, it didn't. Okay.
Oh
Well,
no. That may have been just the end of the sentence.
oh,
So
okay. All right.
I didn't bother sending you the next one.
Okay.
Um, but that's
Um,
also sounds a lot like the incel that CJ was talking about.
the whole thing, we're gonna have to like review that Idaho 4 coverage and look at it alongside this case, I think. Um, the psychology of somebody who does all of that to women following a rejection is characterized by a volatile combination of narcissistic entitlement, hostile misogyny, a pathological need for control, and mechanisms known as virtuous violence. Oh my God. Criminologists and forensic psychologists classify these perpetrators as non serial or serial S murderers, often driven by intense grievances and vindictiveness. The primary psychological pillars that drive this specific type of extreme violence include the following dimensions, and it did not save the rest. But yeah, vindictiveness is standing out to me as well. Just when thinking about what we now know
Mhm.
about uh, the, the level of like what she actually physically went through. uh I think that this ties in pretty well, both with these traits and the incel theory, for
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
Yeah, the incel theory would be pretty interesting to compare just to
Yeah.
see,
Yeah, we're
yeah, how
definitely
many
gonna do that.
traits if, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. I guess I get tripped up by the fact that, like, the fact that he's still walking around. I mean, that gets to me so much. But the actual crime as well. It's I, I don't know. I mean, I guess they're not siblings, and he didn't view them as siblings. Obviously, he didn't. He didn't see it that way. But I noticed that the court documents do say that, like, when the state is speaking about the offense and why the offense is so serious and why he should be put into custody, a lot of times they mention, like, this is somebody who was being raised to view as a sister, as family, as, like, immediate family. Like, they were talking about this trip being a whole blended family, what getaway something or other, which sounded like nonsense to me because they
Mhm.
didn't even put people in the right rooms. But eh, I don't know, is that like particularly shocking about it as well? Is that it was like in this family kind of thing? Because it's a lot of it's a lot. It's the incel theory, and then it's this. I guess it's domestic abuse as well.
No, that's, yeah, I would characterize it as that. I find it very
Mhm.
disturbing that he was preying on his stepsister. I mean, I couldn't imagine living in a house where, I felt like I always had to look over my shoulder and not fall asleep, in case he would sneak into my room, which according to a witness he did. I couldn't imagine that whole home environment just
Mhm.
could not have felt safe for her, and maybe in a way that she didn't even comprehend or understand. She may not have realized, what she was feeling.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean I guess that's part of why the ex boyfriend said that she used to go to friends' houses to feel safe.
Yeah, and that should be a red flag to a parent. And I
Absolutely.
don't I don't understand the just they they were dismissive of it. Um, from what I understand, Anna's ex-boyfriend's father actually went to Anna's father. So father to father, they had a discussion about what her stepbrother was seen doing. And, out of concern, this other father went to him and said, "Hey, you need to be concerned about your daughter."
Yeah.
And for that to be ignored, there were so many times where I feel like this could have been stopped if people would have just listened and really cared about what was happening.
Yeah, and I think that's when it comes to this case, that's one of the things that just gets to me the most is that it feels like so many people failed her one after another. And honestly, like when you're looking at the people around her, it seems like the ex-boyfriend and his father were picking up the slack for that in a lot of ways because they were actually trying to do something, but it doesn't seem like the adults around her for most of her life were actually doing that, like taking their role.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it makes you wonder
Yeah.
what they were absorbed in doing so much so that they just didn't pay any attention to what was happening with the kids within the same house.
Yeah.
Because there had to have been signs, in my opinion, that the stepbrother maybe had something, an infatuation or, an inappropriate relationship or feelings for
Well,
him to
yeah,
be
I mean, it,
sneaking in her room like that. I mean, that's bold.
yeah,
That's really bold.
yeah, and you don't need signs if if somebody literally comes and says to you, "You have a
Exactly.
problem here." Like you don't need sign. Here's your sign. Hi, here it is. Like that was the sign. At the
Yeah.
very least, that should have been it. Like you take that seriously, and that's why it's like with those screenshots, it's really sad. Like, how was she supposed to feel safe? It's yeah.
Yeah, I think it's important. This is a really good case for especially young fathers or young men who haven't become fathers yet to really understand the relationship between a father and a daughter. And to hear that your daughter might have been, assaulted or could have been assaulted, and another parent comes to you, what father wouldn't be very upset and concerned and want to protect his daughter from that type of assault? And I find that very
Yeah, that
disturbing and very sad for Anna.
yeah, I mean that's only natural, and it gets me like so much that he has said that he doesn't want to testify in this trial because he doesn't want to have to go back to that room. And it's like just for once do something for her. Like even in her death, just do something. That like
Do
it
right by her, yeah.
yeah, be there for her. It's the last time you can, but doesn't seem like doesn't seem like he sees it that way.
Mm-mm.
All right, I am going to play some of this video with the custody hearing. It's not always 100% clear what they're saying, so I'll make sure that there's captions on. And also, I don't think we'll get through the whole thing today, but I will take a timestamp and we'll make sure that we get through it in its entirety. And I have put the details in chat. And also, full disclosure, when Jennifer dropped out at the beginning of the show, I didn't put her back into the scene that we're about to use, so she's gonna disappear for a second, but please don't worry, she'll be back. One moment.
That's
Oh dear, I didn't mean to cut off. Okay, here we go. Here we go. I'm sorry. I was trying to do it quickly. All right. Uh, mm, is that correct? Yes, it is. All right, so this is from Court TV, and it's pretty long. It's like just a little under 1.5 hours. So we'll see how far we get. It's definitely interesting if you're wanting to get like deep into this case and just all of the dynamics of it. So, oh, and there's like a bit of silence in the beginning, which I'll just skip.
Our attention now from Massachusetts to Florida, where details surrounding the death of an 18-year-old teenager, Anna Kepner. It's being revealed in a child custody hearing that doesn't have to do specifically with her death. Chantel Hudson Kepner, who was married to Anna Kepner's biological father, she's in a dispute with her ex-husband over the custody of their 3 minor children. Remember, this is the teen who mysteriously died on a Carnival cruise during a time with her family, a blended family. Now, one of those children of the Kepners is a 16-year-old stepbrother, and he has reportedly been a person of interest and suspect in her murder, has not been charged or arrested. And before we take you into court for that child custody hearing where a lot of these details are being revealed, let's take a look back at a closer look at the victims who are at the heart of this case.
And I'm just going to interrupt her there and just point out that this is from like 6 months ago. So while she's saying stuff like he has not been arrested and all of that, just bear in mind that we're going way back to the beginning of finding out about this, and the document that we read today is the most recent release, but this is still really important. Just bear in mind when she's saying things like that, he had not been arrested. This was how we found out that he was even a suspect to begin with.
She was a great woman.
She always wanted to make people laugh. She loved the water, and we were constantly going to the lake here where I live.
There's apparently an FBI investigation ongoing that the mother took the 2 younger children on a cruise, and that the older child, who was approximately 16 years of age, is a suspect in the death of the stepchild, an 18-year-old daughter that was in the same room.
Whenever I was on FaceTime with her, and when I was on FaceTime with her, and she was laying down, and the brother tried to go on top of her, and
you saw that.
Yeah, and then
how did you answer that?
I was like, "What the hell are you doing in her room?" You know. Then he got scared and like ran away, and I heard his footsteps like running through the house, you know, because he got caught.
Mom, immediately after the incident, he was hospitalized, and then when released from the hospital, Mom and Dad participated too. They signed.
Sorry, I just wanted to ask if BJ is still in chat. Is that music that they have in the background going to be a problem? Just let me know, because I didn't even notice that it was there. I'm going to let it continue since it's already happened, but I can fast forward to the proceedings if there's an issue with that.
Stipulation, basically allowing him to live with Mom's relative, and they're getting counseling and so forth for him.
It was suspicious because I knew that the brother did it, and yeah.
How do you know?
Because of the past things that happened with him, like I was saying.
Now, according to family members, a cabin steward found Anna Kepner's body under the bed of her cabin room in that cruise ship. Investigators say the teen died from asphyxiation. And now the teen's father, the one who is a person of interest suspect who hasn't been charged, Thomas Hudson is the father, and he has filed a petition claiming he's concerned that a younger child that he shares with his ex-wife, Chantel, was in imminent danger due to those events on the cruise ship. So let's get you into the courtroom for the start of today's hearing. And a quick note on this, we do have the name of the teen suspect's name muted, so you won't hear that. You'll hear the audio drop. Let's go in.
I wanted to address a couple of things. I reviewed the emergency motion for temporary relief, Mr. Smith, and it does appear as though a lot of the allegations alleged within that motion are really in the nature of contempt. I know that there is a contempt proceeding, a contempt hearing being held on December the 17th, I believe, before Magistrate Valentine. The court's purpose in the hearing today is only to address the issues as it relates to an emergency. So as I'm looking at the motion, the paragraph specifically that the court will address would be related to paragraph 7. The 16-year-old child is now a suspect in the death of the stepchild during the cruise. While released from custody, the 16-year-old child is residing with a third party. Paragraph 17, the 16-year-old's future has been put in jeopardy because of the choices made by the respondent. And paragraph 19, and most.
So that's something that I was also saying before, is that with the way this custody dispute was going, it was kind of alleged that the father of the suspect was saying that this is due to the mother of the suspect. So he wasn't even like placing blame directly on the boy, the son, but he was looking to the mother for that. And I mean, we can agree or disagree, but that's kind of just how it's being angled in this custody thing. So I mean, they tried to avoid mentioning the cruise, but they have to. There's no way around it, really.
Importantly, the youngest child is at immediate risk of abuse, abandonment, or neglect in the care of the respondent. So those are the issues that the court is going to address here this morning, is whether or not, in fact, the court needs to take some sort of emergency action based on those allegations contained within the motion. As it relates to the other provisions in there with regard to alienation and violating court orders, et cetera, I'm going to allow those that was properly referred to the general magistrate, and that hearing has been set for December the 17th.
You know, I understand the court's ruling. Obviously, we think part of the alienation of the children is part and parcel of the immediate risk to the children, because the father is limited in his contact with the children.
Well, and it's okay to address those issues because that goes to the risk to the children. But if the goal is for the court to hold mom in contempt because she's not allowing the children to speak to dad or something along those lines, that's really more of a contempt issue. So I'm really specifically interested in the risk of abuse, abandonment, and neglect of the youngest child, and also to hear the status of the middle child. I understand that there was a stipulation and that the child was residing with a relative, a third party. That, of course, will be important to the court to determine whether or not the youngest child will have any contact with that child and whether that could create an imminent risk to the child.
Yes, Your Honor.
Any questions then with regard to the court's ruling on that?
No, Your Honor.
Ms. Athanasson, any questions from you?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Whenever you're ready, Mr. Smith, you may begin with opening.
Your Honor, in this case, obviously, it's our position that the youngest child is at risk for a number of reasons. As the court is aware through the pleadings, there's a young lady who's passed away. That matter is still under investigation. That was not my client's child, but the stepchild of the mother in this case, and the remaining 16-year-old is now a suspect in that case. In this case, the mother took the children, both Brooke, on a cruise against my client's wishes, while preventing him from having regular contact with those children. We believe that the arrangements that were made by the mother, as far as the sleeping arrangements, were insufficient. That the 18-year-old, 16-year-old, and another 14-year-old were all placed in the same statement.
Yeah.
There's indications that they may have, because they were in international waters, may have been engaging in activities that they normally couldn't engage in while they were in the United States properly being supervised. In addition, we will present evidence that through the older child, who's now 18, so he's an adult, but he is the son of the parties, as to violence, alcohol use in the past, and he's been living with his father for approximately almost 2 years now, since these parties had their separation, where, as the court is aware, there was an original divorce case, there was parenting time, both parties were in Hernando County. Then the mother relocated by agreement between the parties over to Titusville.
Okay, so let me just kind of help out a bit there, because I know that there's a lot of people involved, so it can be confusing. What happened, as far as I understand, is Timothy Hudson's parents had 3 children together, Timothy being the middle child, an older child, he's not a minor anymore, but I'll call him AH, and a younger child, a girl was only like 9. When Chantel, Timothy Hudson's mother, got divorced from Thomas, the father, they had their agreement. There was a custody plan, there was a parenting plan and everything. But when she decided that she wanted to marry Christopher Kepner and move to Titusville, the oldest child, who I think was 17 at the time, AH, he remained with his biological father, Thomas Hudson, and he did not want to go and live with Chantel Hudson and Christopher Kepner. So that is why he's saying that he was residing with the father for about 2 years. And yeah, that's just the background to it. That's why the family was split up. So there were 3 kids, but only 2 went with the mom. The oldest did not want to. And we'll get into why. It's very, very important.
Since she relocated to Titusville, that's when the problems have occurred, where the father has been very limited in his access to the children. I'd reserve with regard to any other comments until closing.
Okay, we're just starting out with this custody hearing. We'll get you back in for more after this quick break. Again, this is a hearing that is surrounding this cruise ship death of 18-year-old Anna Kepner. And it's not in Florida where all of that happened, but we will bring you more of the details coming up next. Year-old Anna Kepner, who was found dead. As the FBI investigates this death, Thomas Hudson, the father of the teen who the family suspects in that death, has filed an emergency motion. Now, Thomas claims that the youngest child that he shares with Chantel Kepner, who is Anna's stepmom, was in imminent danger due to the events on the cruise ship. So let's go back in and listen to more of the opening remarks that are happening between these two attorneys who represent this mother and father.
Let me ask you this question, Mr. Smith. If the oldest child has been residing with the respondent for 2 years, and this, I understand, I saw that there is a supplemental petition for modification that's also pending, so that would be an ultimate issue for trial. How would this, is it your intention to have the oldest child testify?
Yes, Your Honor.
And what if has the oldest child had any contact with the two other children or the respondent since he's been living with the petitioner for the last 2 years?
Well, one of the main things is the circumstances where he wound up living with my client. There was a physical altercation.
That would have been 2 years ago, correct?
A year and a half, yes, Your Honor. And he was also allowed to drink alcohol, which again, I think goes to the relevancy of whether these children were, whether the mother in this case encouraged the underage alcohol, especially on the cruise ship. And the violence that, this, again, the allegations are this 18-year-old has passed away in a violent manner. The 18-year-old will testify as that there was violence between himself, his mother, and the stepfather. And he has had recent contact with Brooke, and I think that goes to the whether there's any risk to Brooke returning to the father. The child was allowed finally to come over for a Thanksgiving visit.
The child being Brooke.
Brooke.
Okay.
She was restricted from contact with one that there are allegations against, but did have contact with Andrew, her adult brother, and exhibited no fear, no reservations. Both my client as well as the 18-year-old can testify about that.
Well, remember though, this isn't that we're here on an emergency motion. So this isn't an issue as to where it is in the best interest of the minor children to reside. That is ultimately an issue for trial in the modification action. The only issue that we're here to address today is whether or not Brooke is in imminent danger remaining in the petitioner's care as a result of recent incidents. So that's really primarily the court's concern today.
But, and Your Honor, I understand that position, and certainly whether or not the child's to be removed from the mother is whether or not there's an imminent risk to the child. I think the court also has to look at where the child would be placed in the circumstances there as to whether there's any harm to relocating the child.
Honestly, any harm to relocating her, I don't, if what they're alleging is accurate about the environment that they're in, I don't know what harm could be. They're saying things like encouraging use of alcohol and a physical altercation with the mom and the stepmom on one of the children. It's just, it's mind-boggling to me.
I think you have to, in terms of emergency relief and an injunction, essentially, you have to look at.
I think you're looking at two different things. This isn't an injunctive relief. We're not here seeking, you're not here seeking injunctive relief. That would have been in the injunction court, correct?
Well, we're seeking to have the child removed from the mother and placed with the father.
Yeah.
So I think that the court needs to look at whether or not there would be any harm to that. Obviously, our position is there wouldn't be, but be able to transition to the father.
Okay, I'm not
Couldn't
sure
be
I
any more harm done than what's already been
understand
done.
what your argument is.
Sorry about that.
I'm sorry.
No.
There couldn't be any more harm done than the harm that's already been done.
I
to
know.
that family.
Think about the perspective of a 9-year-old little girl. She was there. She was on that cruise. Like, that must have been the most terrifying thing to be around. I can't even imagine.
Yeah, I can't imagine either.
For it to be so complicated, like the victim is your new stepsister, the suspect is your big brother. It's just, I just don't see how it would have been a healthy environment for her to stay in anyway. And for the record, I actually haven't followed up on what the outcome was. So I'm sure we'll all be surprised. There's another episode of this. Like I said, I don't think we'll get to everything today, but I don't know if she did remain with Chantal and Christopher. So we'll find that all out. Uh, I would be surprised if she did, to be honest.
Okay. Ms. Anderson, opening?
Um, yes, yes, Your Honor. May it please the court. We believe, and I think we filed that in our response, that there's no emergency that exists. There was an incident on the cruise ship. The Federal Bureau of Investigations is investigating that.
I'm sorry, but you can't have that in the same sentence. Like, there's no emergency. Everything's fine. The FBI was there, but everything's fine. The FBI came and they're doing what they do, but there wasn't actually an like there was no problem. They were just there. No,
Yeah, they
no.
downplay the whole situation very well
Huh?
throughout
My
this.
goodness. Like, there was no emergency. The FBI was like, what, were they also on the cruise? No, they weren't on the cruise. They weren't cruising. They were investigating.
Right? They weren't
Uh,
coming to say hello and visit.
mm-mm. No.
There have been no arrests made yet, but since my clients were advised that he was a suspect in that, after he was released from the hospital upon the return to the United States, he was placed with a relative of the mother's. And not only did that happen, but mom contacted dad, and dad signed an agreement to say that this child would be placed with a third party, thereby removing any risk of any danger to any of the other children in the home. So that has been resolved, and there's been nothing mentioned of that. Nobody's saying, I don't hear the other side saying that they participated in that in any way, whereas the father was advised and did participate. The minor child, Brooke, you're going to hear testimony that she's fine, that there is no risk to her. There were abuse
She's
reports
fine.
made. We have a person here from the Department of Children and Families that can attest that there's no concerns about the child remaining in the care of Chantal and Chris Kepner.
All right, thank you.
That whole thing can be summarized to everything's fine. Why are we here? I just
Mm-hmm.
I don't get it.
All right, those are the opening remarks from either side. Let's bring in former prosecutor and constitutional attorney Chris Ann Hall, who was watching along with us. A lot to unpack here, Chris Ann. I mean, this has been a story that's captured so much attention. We don't usually show custody hearings in our cases, but in this case, the FBI is investigating. There have not been any arrests yet, but in a court of law, they are having to decide whether or not there's this issue of the minor children still being around the young man, this teen, who is a named person of interest, according to what the family told their attorneys.
Yeah, this is going to be a legally fascinating case because you have the custody issues that are going to take place in Florida based on Florida law, but then you also have the death case in which we're dealing with maritime law and the U.S. Department of Justice, the FBI. So it's really going to be a fascinating weaving together of two different kinds of laws. What's interesting here in the state of Florida, the inclination in law is to keep a child where they are. So the burden of proof has to rest on the side that wants the child's custody to be removed. And there will always be a tendency, even a judicial tendency, to keep a child in a place where they are, and the burden of proof has to establish probable cause that no other remedy can ensure the safety of the child other than removal. So there really is a predisposed understanding that a child needs to stay in the custody pattern that they're already in, unless there's no other way to solve the problem.
All right, Chris Ann, I'm so glad we have your insight, especially being a Florida barred lawyer. Let's get to our break. When we come back, we're going to hear more from the stepmom side of things in the emergency custody hearing. When we come back, don't forget, we have a verdict watch that is going on in Georgia. This is the case versus Trinity Poe. She was accused in the toddler death of her. Welcome back to Court TV Live. I'm Julia Janae. We're taking you back into that Florida courtroom. It's family court, a child custody hearing between the victim, Anna Kepner's stepmom, and her ex-husband. Of course, Anna Kepner was the 18-year-old who was found dead on a cruise ship. Her stepbrother is someone that has been called a suspect by authorities, according to her family. Now, let's get you back into the courtroom now. The stepmom, Chantel Hudson Kepner, is on the stand. She is speaking about the day that Anna Kepner died. Let's keep in mind that we are muting the name of the alleged minor suspect's name. So when you hear the audio go out, that's the reason. Let's watch.
Please state your name, ma'am.
Chantel Kepner.
And do you know Thomas Hudson?
Yes.
And how do you know Mr. Hudson?
We were formerly married.
And how long were you married?
About 12 years.
And do you have any children between the two of you?
We have 3 children.
What are their names and ages?
Andrew's 18, 16, and Brooke is 9.
And there recently was did you recently go on a cruise?
Yes.
And did any of the children go with you on the cruise?
Brooke and
Did you reach out to Mr. Hudson to request that he agree to passports for the children?
I reached out to him to inform him of my itinerary to take the children on a cruise and did ask for the passports, but they weren't needed in this cruise.
And Mr. Hudson actually refused to cooperate with obtaining passports, correct?
To sign for the passports, yes.
So he really didn't want them going. Thomas Hudson didn't, like, he refused. That is interesting. Like, I mean, I know it's inconsequential now, but it probably adds to the trauma of what he's probably going through, is that, like, he essentially said no.
You said passports weren't necessary, so they weren't obtained?
Correct.
As far as the minor children, what were the sleeping arrangements on this cruise?
Brooke was in my room with my husband and his 9-year-old daughter, and then shared a room with his stepsister and stepbrother. Well, the room was directly across from ours.
What was the stepsister's name?
Anna Kepner.
And what was the stepbrother's name?
Connor Kepner.
And how old is Connor?
14.
And how old was Anna?
18.
Now, who made the decision to have these 3 teenagers in one room in the cruise?
We had talked it over with our travel agent, and that was what was suggested.
Did you have to sign any special permission for
No.
the children to reside together? So was it a mutual decision between yourself and your husband?
Correct.
And at some point, did you discover that one of the children had passed away?
Yes.
And when was that you discovered that?
Friday morning.
When was the last time that you had seen the child before that Friday morning?
Thursday night.
You know approximately what time?
Right around 6:30.
And your child, did you see him that Thursday night as well?
Yes.
What time did you see him at?
Closer to 7. Just a little bit before 7.
What was he doing at that time?
Does that make sense to everything we read? I mean, I guess she could just be mistaken, but that sounds quite off.
As you mean the timeline?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought, didn't Anna leave the table later than that?
Yeah, so they said that she left, well, she was at least seen going into the room at 7:38 p.m. and he went into the room at 7:35 p.m. I guess that there could have been a substantial amount of time between excusing themselves from the table and getting to the room. But I guess that's just a gap we won't know about until there's more info out.
He was headed back to his room.
Do you know whether or not Connor was present in the room as well?
They all were headed back to their room, as far as I know.
So where was their room in relation to your room?
Right across the hall. You walked out my door, their door was right in front of it.
Did you return to your room that evening?
Yes.
What time did you return to your room?
7 o'clock.
7 p.m.?
Yeah, right. It was actually closer to 7:30.
Did you stay in the room for the rest of the night?
Yes.
With the teenagers across the hall, did you ever go in and check on them?
No, I had went to sleep.
Do you know if Christopher went across the hall to check on them?
Not that I know of.
Do you know if Connor ever left the room that night on that Thursday night?
I never seen him leave the room.
As far as goes, have you made arrangements for to reside with a relative?
Correct.
And why did you do that?
It was something that his father and I mutually decided.
Did you suggest it to him, or did he suggest it to you? Who brought it up first?
It was something that we had talked about because neither one of us could bring it back to our home.
That's really interesting. I, for some reason, in my mind, thought that whole thing was like a court order or like some decision that was like official. It's sounding like they discussed it as mom and dad, and they were like, "Well, neither of us can have him here." So, is that the impression you're getting? Because that's a little weird to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is the impression I get.
Okay.
Why couldn't you bring back to your home?
I'm looking out for the safety of the other children in the home.
Now, when you talk about the home, you have a home with Christopher, your husband?
Yes.
And does Christopher have other children that come to that home?
He has 2 other kids.
And one of them being Connor?
Correct.
And the younger child that slept in the room with you as well?
Yes.
Is Connor still allowed to come to the home?
Yes.
How many bedrooms is the home that you're in?
We have a 3-bedroom house with an addition room downstairs.
So what are the sleeping arrangements when all the kids were there prior to this cruise?
The 2 youngest girls shared a room, the 2 boys shared a room, and Anna had her own room.
As far as the evening, that Thursday evening on the cruise, had you been drinking at all?
No.
Had you drank at all during the cruise?
I had 2 pina coladas and a blue Hawaiian earlier in the week, but it wasn't on the same day. It was like 1 a day.
Do you know if the children, based on being in international waters, could drink alcohol?
No.
You don't know?
No, they didn't. They're not old enough.
What about Anna?
I don't know.
Weren't you aware that the children were gambling at some point?
Well, Anna's 18, so I know she was in there at one point in time, but the other kids were not.
You're sure that the other kids were not gambling?
I'm sure the other kids were not gambling.
As far as does he have any diagnoses?
He has ADHD.
And how long has he been diagnosed with ADHD?
About 3 or 4 years.
Those after your separation from Mr. Hudson, correct?
About that timeline, yes.
And does he receive medication for his ADHD?
He does.
And what medication was he on for his ADHD?
Methylphenidate.
Could you pronounce that for me? Spell it for him if you know.
Methylphenidate, I don't know the spelling.
Okay.
The name brand's Concerta. That helps.
Thank you.
And how often would you take that medication?
Every morning.
Step aside for a break. Keep in mind, we are in a family court setting. This is not a criminal court, but I wonder if any of the information that's coming out in this court setting could be used if there is a criminal trial. We'll talk about with our analysts on the other side of this break. Stay with us. You're watching Court TV.
The disappearance of Mother Anna.
To whether or not that teen stepbrother was medicated during the time of the cruise. We want to remind you we have been muting the audio when they mentioned that minor stepbrother's name because he has not been charged.
Did he take the medication on the cruise with him?
Yes. He also takes a nighttime pill as well.
The same medication?
No, it's clonidine.
What is that for?
Insomnia.
Did you hold on to the medications?
Yes.
Did you make sure he took his medications every day?
He took his morning pill every day, and he missed 2 doses of his clonidine at night.
You held on to the clonidine as well?
Mm-hmm.
That's yes?
Yes, sorry.
And what do you mean he missed the doses? What happened there?
He went to bed before he got it. He was already asleep.
Including that Thursday night?
No, Thursday night he didn't get it. I had fell asleep before he did.
So just to make sure I understand, ma'am, while on the cruise, he missed taking that nighttime medication twice. Like one of the nights was because he fell asleep prior to taking the medication, and the other night was the night before.
Correct. I fell asleep before
He fell asleep, so he did not get the medication the night.
Yeah, he didn't come
before
and
the
ask for
incident. All right, thank you.
And was Brooke attending school prior to the cruise?
Yes.
And after the cruise, did she have to be removed from school?
They placed her on homeschool. They just unenrolled her this past Monday.
Okay. So I think I'm going to stop it there because it's right at the point where they're talking about the medication. And before they move on to another point, I think I'll stop that. But I'm going to take down the timestamp. And I definitely want to make sure that we go through that whole episode on another show. And there's another video where they have like pretty interesting testimony. I was hoping that we would get to the oldest child's testimony tonight, but I'm remembering that it's actually in the other video, and I don't want to like overload you guys with information. But that is kind of the general idea of what was going on in the custody dispute, I guess you can say. And I mean, it's already pretty interesting just what we've heard in that little bit, because I mean, I'm kind of taken aback. Like, I didn't catch it the first time that they made that decision together to send him to the relative, showing that they like were fully aware of how dangerous he could be. He wasn't even charged yet, and they were just like, "Yeah, we'll just send you there. Just go there."
I couldn't imagine arguing over my child who wants to take him, who's willing to take him. That had to have been such a sad feeling.
Yeah, I can only imagine.
And
that.
also,
go ahead.
Yeah, it's her son. Sorry, it's her son that killed her stepsister. So imagine the awkward position that she's in and how that must make her feel, that she brought in her child into a home and it ultimately he harmed the person that she's in love with, his daughter, his oldest daughter. So that's got to make her feel some sort of awkward guilt, anger, embarrassment. I just couldn't imagine what that would feel like.
Yeah, and I mean, she has I don't know how to word it, but I guess she's distanced herself from her son. Like she is still fully, with her husband and his family. So like the Kepner family, and that's a tough one. That's a tough one to make because I'm just full of spoilers. But like in some of these custody hearings, when they speak to the biological father, they say to him, "Do you still love your son?" And he says yes. And I kind of get like he's in a lot of pain as well. The biological father of Timothy Hudson. It's just it's shocking all around. It's like you say you can't imagine. Like I just can't imagine anybody's position in this family. So,
Mhm.
but I do think going through the custody stuff it's going to be helpful. I know that wasn't a lot of it, but it's because I talk too much, so we didn't get very far. But we will
We like to
definitely
hear
check.
what you have
Okay,
to say.
you too. Yeah. So is there anything that you wanted to add before I end the show? And we're definitely going to reschedule part 2, maybe 3.
No, I am so excited to hear that the oldest child spoke. I have not heard anything about that, so I am really interested to hear what the oldest child had to say.
It's difficult. I'm not going to lie to you. It's difficult because what was done to him was obviously nowhere near as bad, but I mean, he was it, you can kind of it's not the same as what was done to Anna. I'm not going to try and say that, but he says that he was choked and that there was a very very difficult altercation between him and Christopher Kepner, as well as his
Oh,
biological mother. So yeah,
well,
it's
that's
sad,
sad.
yeah, but it's important for context, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, so I can't wait
All
to hear
right.
that.
Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much, and thank you to everyone in chat. And we will be back soon. I don't know when exactly, but we will definitely be back soon. And we will also be seeing you on the weekend. We're going to be doing part 2 of the Idaho 4 autopsy episode. And I caught up a little bit on your episode with CJ, and that was really interesting. Thank you for doing all of that research. I'm looking forward to talking to you more about that on
Well,
Saturday
thank
as
you.
well. Yes. All right. Bye, everyone. Have a beautiful
Bye, guys.
day, evening, whatever it is for you.